About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I sowed some cosmos seeds into this pot. You can see they've germinated, they're growing on well, so why not just leave them in this pot to grow on? Well, if we leave them, it's going to become very crowded and congested. They're going to be competing with each other for water, light, the nutrients. They're not going to grow into healthy plants. There's going to be more chance of pest and disease. So we need to remove them from this pot and put them in their own pots with more space. And this process is called pricking out. So how do you know when to do this? It's best to leave the seedlings until they're of a size that's big enough to handle, so you've got something to hold on to. Also, I mean, you can wait until the first true leaves come through. In this case, cosmos. The true leaves are quite feathery and fine, and they look completely different to the seed leaves, which you can see are smooth and wide in comparison. So what do you need for this process of pricking out? It's fairly simple. You're going to need another pot to put the seedling into. This is a plastic pot, but we are reusing pots from last year. If you do have a non-plastic alternative that's much more sustainable, there are cardboard-based pots or ones made out of grass and bamboo available. So we have our reused pot. We also are going to need a label, so we know what it is, some peat-free compost, and a tray to keep everything tidy if you have it. Oh, and a pencil which can be used as a dibber and to write your label. So we're going to fill the pot with the peat-free compost. Keep the compost nice and loose. Just to settle it down, we can tap it on the tray there and make a little hole in the middle ready for the seedling. So now we're at the stage of actually pricking out a seedling. So I'm going to set this down. You've got your pencil to act as a dibber. You need to choose a nice healthy seedling. You want to hold the seedling by a leaf, not by the stem. If you break a leaf, you'll hopefully grow some more. If you break the stem, the seedling will probably die. So, and then to use your pencil or dibber, you're going to go in a little bit away from the seedling, and you're just going to gently sort of ease the seedling out. The idea is to not disturb the roots, to describe it as little as possible. So here we have the seedling. You can see it's got a reasonable sized root, and it's now ready to go into the pot. We're going to put the seedling into the hole you prepared earlier. You can sink this reasonably deep into the hole. These seedlings were quite leggy and long, so it's going to make it a little bit more stable. If you need to, you can put a little bit more compost around there. There, and that's ready. Just going to do a few more of these seedlings. I've got 3 seedlings now that I've prepared. I'm going to water them in. And when you're watering, it's a good idea to start a little bit away from the seedlings, so you don't get any huge, great heavy drips that are going to potentially wash the soil, the compost out. And you want to make sure that you water all of the compost, right down to the bottom of the pot. So it seems like I'm over-watering here, but what you want to happen is when you pick it up, you want to hope that there's going to be some water coming out of the bottom here, and that shows that the compost is watered all the way to the bottom and not just the first few centimetres. And the final job is to write a label. Just by looking at the seedling, you can't really tell what that is, so always important to write a label. Now we have some wooden labels here, which are great, very sustainable. The one downside is that sometimes the water will absorb into the wood and it's difficult to read. It's also a good idea to put the date on the back. So now we've got a label in the pot, pot's been watered. All that's left is to leave the plant pot somewhere nice and light, but be aware if it's a tender plant, such as a cosmos or a tomato, make sure you don't leave it somewhere that's going to get a frost, because it won't like it at all. But so we can see our plant has got lots of room, it's got its own pot, it's really happy in there, it's going to grow on to be a nice strong seedling, much better than if it was left crowded in a pot with all the others.